congratulations to all debaters who have made it thus far. You guys should be extremely proud of yourself. All right, so my name's Andre. I'll be your chair for this round. I go by he, they pronouns, but please address the panel as a whole. Panelists, we'll start with Anston.
Hi, my name is Anston. I go by he and pronouns. Very glad to be here. Congratulations on all teams.
Hi, my name is Yirui. She, her pronouns. Honor to judge.
Hi, my name is Warren. I'm a panelist, he, him pronouns.
Hi, my name is Kosar. I'm your pronouns.
Hi, I'm Chen, he, him pronouns. Which will take the best?
Letitia? Okay, they're doing it. Okay. You just get people out of that space. Letitia, can you clear people out of that space between the J's? Thank you. All right, awesome. Speaker introductions. We'll start with the Prime Minister, and we'll work our way down.
Hi, I'm Prime Minister Tanya Guan, she pronouns.
I'm second speaker on OG, Alissa, Chappel, she pronouns.
Hello, Abdullah Guan, he pronouns. Yirui, Kosar, he
CD?
Oh, right. You can begin first.
Seal?
Speaking second, Terrence.
All right, awesome. Is anyone able to keep Warren?
Yep.
Okay, so Warren will give you time signals. One tap means 30 seconds have passed. One tap means you have 30 seconds remaining. Two taps at 5 minutes. We'll cut you off at 5:15. Please time your own speeches. And audience, please, if you're going to leave through the back. Leave between speeches. All right. If we have no further questions, we'll now call upon the Prime Minister to begin this debate with an address not exceeding 5 minutes. You can use the mic, or you can just use the cable. Will, is it able to capture if they're not using the mic?
I prefer to use the mic, but you can
Okay,
speak
yeah, use the mic. Use the mic.
Hello, is this good? Is this awkward? Wait, I think I'm short, okay. First of all, thank you for this amazing tournament. I'm really glad I got this opportunity, so thank you to all tournament directors. Thank you to Alissa, my amazing partner. Thank you to all my friends who really came out to support me, and my people who saw my first word. Also, just testing for my first word. Panel, by the end of this speech, I hope that everyone in this room can overlook their biases, that the sci-fi induced biases they may have towards AI companionship bots, and actually see how much it will benefit society as a whole. With that being said, I will start my speech today by giving you some characterization about who needs companionship bots, and I've given you 2 points about how they alleviate stress to people who don't want people to judge them, and how companionship bots will do their job well. Okay, so first of all, who needs companionship bots? First of all, I want to say that how can a world with so much social interaction ever stop it? We are social interactions, and human-to-human connection is an integral part of everyday life. I think it's unrealistic and uncharitable if all tries to characterize otherwise. I think that with that being said, there's more need for compatible companionship where people have more empathy towards others. This is not just like active discussions with like opinions on issues and I don't know like what food they like or something, but this is more of someone who's actually a listener, because in the status quo, people want their opinions to be heard more than they want to listen. So I think this is where companionship bots are really going to help the status quo. Now, with that characterization, I'll move into my first point, which is about alleviating stress when people don't judge you. What's the problem with human interaction today? Why is this not enough? So human interaction, as we tell you on opening government, is stressful, and we can take this 2 ways. First of all, it's people who society perceives as okay and well off. People who want to keep their image, people who think that everyone perceives them as, in general, a good person. These people benefit from having companionship bots because they don't need to always consecutively prove that, hey, they're being a good person, that there's a paradox of being nice, right? Like if you're being nice, then you're not actually being yourself because you're too scared about how society perceives you. So no matter how nice you are, you're never really being yourself. You're being how you think other people want you to be, yourself. However, when you have a companionship bot, you're able to explore those nooks and crannies of yourself that you wouldn't be able to explore otherwise. Right, so moving on to the second type of person I think that can come out of this is people who are coming out of hard times too. I think everyone in their life at some point does face some sort of obstacle, whether that's sudden depression, distraught, or like grief and something like that. I think that while these connections with actual humans do help during these times, I think it's also really important that we ease them back into human-to-human connections where they will be receiving backlash based on what they say. If companionship bots are able to be designed in a way that makes sure that people face minimal backlash while still not just blatantly saying whatever they want, I think I'm going to frame why this is the case later, but I think this greatly reduces the pressure of people who are readapting to society, how they're afraid people will perceive them. Okay, so for that impact, I think this is going to solve massive burnout problems on the opposition side that we see in the status quo. Because this is very real. I think all of us in this room feel that to some degree. I think a lot of debaters actually are prime examples of this. You say what you want because you want to win, and when even are out of debates, you try to come out as affable so that people will like you. Okay, so now let me move on to my framework, why these bots are actually going to be designed to be benevolent. So I think bots are going to be programmed with benevolent intentions because these companies are scared of backlash. They don't want people to start having negative thoughts because of their bots, and they don't want their bots to be the reason someone is descending into further mental health issues, as the media is most likely to report once police investigations conclude on a suicide or something. So I think that these benefits of supporting it, I also think that the company itself should benefit from supporting people with the increasing mental health movement. If a company is able to come out and say, we're helping the people at their most vulnerable state, this is very good publicity for the company, and again, those are the selfish intentions of the company if you take us our worst case. So this is exclusive because people are people, right? If you want to talk to a person, you feel like you're bragging, you feel like you're weak, you feel like you're whining. And they are often non-responsive and they're often only shallowly responsive and don't really help. However, when you expect a bot to only be responsive to some point, you are able to feel more comfortable talking to it because you know that you have someone to talk to who is going to give you advice that you feel other people are that other people will not be sympathetic enough to give. I think this is very important. Now, my final point is why companionship bots will actually do their job well. I've already said why they will be programmed with benevolent intentions. However, let's say AI makes less mistakes than humans. This is just a fact. Whenever AI makes mistakes, they learn from them and will do them again, not like a human. Perception of the user is also important in the way that there's body language, there's facial cues. I think that AI bots are more well programmed to not accidentally flash a facial cue or a body language that can be interpreted certain ways. Now, also, I might say that this might end up about looks, maybe someone choosing a really hot bot or something. I don't really care about this. I don't really care because no one can change all of society's beauty standards with any technology for that fact. And who people feel comfortable talking to, whether it's a really hot person, whether it's someone who's actually more their themselves, has their skin color and stuff like that. I think that as long as we can help these individuals, I think that is good enough for us, and that's something we've only done on our side. So in conclusion, I hope that I've turned your perception on AI chatbots today. And yeah, so proud to propose. Thank you.
Please take a seat.
All right, now call upon for the new spectators coming in, two things. Just be advised this round is being recorded, which means things you say will also be caught on the camera, so please remain quiet. All right, now call upon the leader.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry.
By the way, where's the camera? Okay, thank you. Are you recording right now? Just organize my notes. Before I start my speech, I want to thank people because they asked me to. I want to thank Maya and Andy and Leon and Chi and I guess also Kosar because they're there. And also I want to thank Joy especially because without her we probably wouldn't have broken, and also Christopher for carrying me in quarterfinals. Okay, with all that being said, I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, OG tries to tell you that companionship bots are a means to an end to try to improve connection and try to improve loneliness. However, we're here to tell you that human connection that you can get in alternative to this is just far better than the AI connection you get from companionship bots. For this reason, we went on side opposition. I'm going to start with some framing, and I'm going to go into 2 arguments. 1, the importance of human connection and why you get far less of this and why this is so important. And 2, why you impact the most vulnerable actors the most negatively that they seem to care about so much. Let's start with some framing. Number 1, people have realistic ways to get social interaction without AI companionship bots. Why? Because it's easily accessible in the modern world to go to things like social media, right? You can message someone, you can DM someone, you can join social groups. For example, I'm in Grindel, right? I can talk to a bunch of debaters who I actually care, who I actually have someone interested in me. It's very accessible in the modern day to be able to communicate with people. It's unclear why AI companionship bots are the tipping point. But secondly, the corporations are the ones running AI, like ChatGPT, right? GPT, etc. But they are profit incentive because they have money at heart, therefore. So their reputation is an end to this, but it does not mean that they care specifically about their reputation. They can still make money without their reputation because people come for their product. No, oftentimes unethical corporations still make a bunch of money. Why? Because people come for the product that they sell, not for the status or not for the brand that they have. Or sorry, the reputation. First argument then, the premise for which is this. Given the absolute critical importance of human connection, it is extremely bad to have AI companionship bot which actively detracts from human connection. Note the framing here. Why would an average person be incentivized to forego human connection? This is actively clashing with this idea, nobody will, like human connection shows this. What? This ease of access makes it far easier to foster these connections as opposed to human connection. It's far likely that people want to go and develop AI companionship bots because you have to work harder to be able to build human connection. But secondly, know that AI companionship bots are likely to be more agreeable than humans. So as far as humans have different opinions, but AI companionship bots can just agree with you because they don't have opinions. They're an AI. But thirdly, know that you have far less responsibility in these kind of relationships. No, thank you. In these kinds of relationships, because you don't have to. In these kinds of relationships. Note that they tell you that you still get human interaction, but we think you get far less of it, right? We think society is dependent on human interaction. This is the crux of our case and why it's so important that people are losing this interaction. 3 mechanisms for why it's bad on their side now. 1, people aren't able to learn the necessary social skills needed for daily life on a regular basis. They're therefore unskilled in building genuine human connection because they're so inexperienced in doing so, right? When they actually have to therefore build connections, this means they're less capable of doing so, right? Because you can go and try to have to build business connections, and if you have less experience in being able to do so, we think it's far harder for you to do. Secondly, know that people are just not building connections in general that they need for support because AI doesn't capture all the realms of human emotion. AI can't understand you perfectly as they try to tell you, right? AI is not the perfect connection. It's not the replacement that can exist for humans, right? So when as far as you're more incentivized to not develop meaningful human connection, you lack the necessary connection that you need to subscribe. But no, thirdly, that you get less socialized society, and this has far broader impact. So when as far as people are less likely to go and talk to each other, this means that there's going to be far less discussion and empathy in the world because you have far less understanding of the people around you. So when as far as you are talking to them, right? This means you have far less capability to build meaningful connection. What are the impacts here? Number 1, on our side of the house, what is comparative here? You know that people are incentivized to talk to others on our side of the house. Why? Because this is their only form of building needed connections to be able to thrive and feel emotionally capable. But know that they also now have the capability to build better connections on our side of the house because they have to actively do so, and they actually have these connections with the person when they need to depend on them. What are the impacts here? Number 1, we get far better emotional well-being for our actors because they are now having this emotional human connection that they need so much. But secondly, we just get a better connected society where people are more empathetic of each other, more understanding of each other, and this is far more important than everything they give you. Speaking of which, I want to trade this off when they tell you, less loneliness, you can prove you're a good person. No, number 1, I think it's just inherently untrue because you still feel lonely to talk to bots because of your bias. At the end of the day, you know this is an AI, right? This isn't an actual human being. It's very unclear why this can be a replacement. But no, secondly, that it's not a meaningful connection because it doesn't lead to the emotional satisfaction. That is to say, because it can't relate to you clearly, you won't feel emotionally satisfied talking to it. But no, clearly, this is just uncomparative, right? Because you can still build meaningful connections through social media and through social groups. So it's very unclear why it's something that you get when you have AI companionship, you are suddenly more socialized. But no, point that it's actually negative because so as far as you aren't addressing group problems, you're not addressing your ability to be able to build meaningful connections. This actively affects them in the rest of your life. So as far as you're allowing people to use AI companionship bots as a replacement, I think that we win on this path. Before that, before my next argument, I'll take a seat.
They're AI. If you want to sell this product, it's always super advanced and can emulate humans really, really well. Why aren't these AIs just like super good with this advanced technology?
Look, I think that you just can't recreate AI compared to humans because humans have emotion. AI don't have emotion. AI are code, right? Humans can connect to you on an empathetic level that does not necessarily involve logic. Moving into my second argument, the premise for this. Given that the most vulnerable actors are likely to abuse it, you get far more negative impacts for them. Note the framing here that it's likely that this AI is going to be addicting. Why? Because 1 is your only source of interaction when you depend on it so frequently, and secondly that it's your only source of companionship if you don't go and build other connections. So second framing here that you often suffer from other problems, right? The lack of human connection is often a byproduct of maybe your lack of self-esteem, your lack of self-worth, maybe self-problems within yourself. A couple mechanisms here on why their solution is bad. Number 1, they develop a band-aid solution that doesn't address root problems, right? Because some people might need therapy, some people might need self-development, but they can never go because they can just cope with their AIs, right? Their AI companions. and improve, but most likely you get far less support and help because AI doesn't see the practical implications of your life. Companies, AI don't see the practical implications of your life, they're less likely to be able to make fully educated predictions, right? Why would predictions better? Because when you get human connections, it's like you get human emotional filled bond. These actually help you to get better impact because it's better to learn from humans and it's better to see the emotional impact your actions have on others for this reason of practice.
All right, fantastic. All right, All right, we'll now call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case for opening government. All right, you have 10 seconds left.
So in this speech today, I'm just going to be quickly adding a little bit to my partner's speech, and then I'll be rebuilding everything that my partner talked about, along with refuting everything we heard out of OO so far. So the reason why will encourage better development of this tech when more people use it is because user satisfaction surveys will help companies find areas in which they can improve. So this is going to help them get more human-like, help them understand emotions and so on, which is, I'll talk about this later on when I review OG. And as more people use it, there's more of an incentive for government to regulate it and attention to any of its flaws. So this also deals with a lot of problems that OG talks about. There's more data to generate new and older user-friendly responses, and also we need to not be the heroes of the future, but take care of the human beings of today. So I'll quickly get into some rebuilding. As for alleviating stress point, they say that human connection is still always going to be much better, and so on. So we really do agree that human connection is incredibly important in people's day-to-day life. However, using companionship bots, this is going to not only help aid human interactions, it's going to help people find other people to talk to with similarities and so on. So as it advances, it can help relate issues with you, and it can also be used as practice for people who may not be very good at social interactions, right? So this way they're not getting judged, which is something a lot of people really worry about when they talk to people, whether it's online, whether it's not. Along with that, this can be used in really difficult times in which people may not be able to trust human beings. So for example, they talk about you can just find group chats or online groups of people who may relate to you, such like Friendsville. However, you're not going to trust such a big group of people you don't know with personal problems, and this is something that companionship bot is going to be incredibly useful for because they're not going to tell other friends, they're not going to tell other people about this. Along with that, if you're having issues with human relationships, you can always vent to a chat bot, and this isn't going to ruin any other relationships in the future. They say that you're not going to learn social skills. However, because it's going to be very similar to social interaction, and it's only going to advance as more and more people use it, could be used as a really good way to practice human interaction, especially if you have trouble finding friends, relationships, and whatnot. They say that people in general are just going to have less social interactions, and on OG, we do agree that human interactions are incredibly important. So we think that the companionship bot, with more use, is just going to aid in human interactions. It's going to aid people having better relationships. So rather than just constantly worry about being judged, constantly worrying how other people are going to be reacting to what you say, or even just having issues within relationships, you can talk to the chat box rather than taking all of your anger on humans. Now you can have some kind of technology where there's not going to be way less problems coming back to you. So this is going to be really important in keeping interactions, but also gaining new ones. They say it can be addicting. So as I've talked about, it aids in human relationship. It's going to incentivize you to go out and talk to more humans. It's going to improve your skills and so on. So we think that people will still value human interactions, and it's also inedible to have human interactions in your day-to-day life, whether it's in your job or just going out in public, you're still going to have human interaction. And then also they say you can use this instead of therapy. However, if it's a really serious problem, especially because of companies worrying about their reputation, we think AI will likely recommend things like therapy. To refute their points, they say that less ways. They say that there's many ways to get social interaction, just like technology, texting, calling, and so on. However, we think once again that this is going to not only give you something in which you can trust, and ensure that your privacy is going to be protected when it comes to like your close friends and so on. So like obviously if you tell your chatbot or something, it's not going to go out and tell your friend you said this about them or something, because it's incredibly important to vent, especially if you're in an argument with a relationship or you're in an argument and you just don't want to like take your anger out on them, which is likely going to happen if you don't use companionship bots. You're likely going to do something that you are going to regret. They say that because corporations are profit-driven, they're not going to care about reputation. However, we still think that reputation is incredibly important when it comes to the increased use of companionship bots if something really comes up, because the media does scrutinize a lot of things, especially if it's like something endangering human lives, if it's telling people to do dangerous things, if it's encouraging them to do, especially when it comes to mental health, because that's an incredibly large movement right now, right? So if someone is struggling,
How are these AI supposed to actively help you with your emotional problems when they can't understand your emotions in the first place?
Okay, so one of the main things that these companies want to focus on is having it as close to human interactions, right? So as more users use it, it's likely that these companies are going to be able to get their AI to be better, to recognize emotions, and to help you in these situations. Along with that, they also going to recommend things like therapy if it's like something that is dangerous to yourself or to other people. So it's not going to be putting yourself in harm's way or anyone else in harm's way, because once again, this is incredibly important for reputation, as the media does scrutinize almost everything like companies like this, especially if it's endangering people. So they want to make sure. Along with that, it helps us like on a small day-to-day problem, if it's like with your friends, immediate event. So proud to propose.
Alright, awesome, very good job. Alright, I will now call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Alright, my speech session in 3, 2. So, open government has given us a lot about how these community bots are going to be ways that people can can like express themselves without judgment and without the fear of other people, judging them, spreading rumors, or having all this other kinds of social consequences. But we haven't really gotten any mechanization for why they're compelled to after interacting with this AI as a form of practice or as a form of expressing themselves, why they're going to suddenly want to interact with humans and have the kind of deep human connection that an AI just doesn't have, that they conceive is so valuable. So first I'll go into some rebuilding of my partner's points, and I'll point out how that directly clashes with Ochi's case. So my partner has, yes?
So AI can't know everyday things, like something funny that happened at school or at work. So why would this replace those types of interactions?
I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but I'll just go on with rebuilding in case I need that answer. My partner has really just given you a lot about the human connection and how it's better. AI just really can't replace like the full capacity of emotions that humans have, as AI inherently is built on the collection of experiences from other people, just recreating the most commonly seen patterns. It's a pattern recognition device, and it's used out whatever it recognizes. And this really just can't create the kind of emotional depth and connection that interacting with humans can. And my partner has also already characterized for you why this ease of access, the agreeability of these bots, and also the lack of responsibility or lack of these consequences that OG concedes are actually going to keep people to stay on using AI companion bots, and as using them as a crutch. People are not going to go out and seek other human connections 1 second because they know that these bots are just going to agree with them. The companies designed them to agree with them because, of course, they want these people to stay and talk to them for longer. They don't want them to get into arguments with these bots or have a clash and then just leave and not use their AI bots. So they're going to make them agreeable. They're going to make them easy to access because they want to make this kind of profit. And overall, we don't think that people are going to be driven to turn to actual meaningful human interaction that we can see is valuable. Yes?
If this happens, can't we assume there'll be some kind of innovation in the future that allows us to change systems and get like emotional capacity since you have to sell this damn AI and like until that's like it has
not looking into the speculative future about what AI companion bots could be in the future. We're looking about right now where AIs can feel our emotions. They can't feel that kind of emotional depth that a human, a living, breathing human can. We're not looking into the speculative future. We're looking into the future right now where companies are not incentivized to encourage these people to go and to get human connection because they want profits. And we believe this really harms the people that are most vulnerable, the people that matter the most on our side of the house. These people that use AI as a crutch for actual human interaction. These people that have problems in their self, their mental problems. And they're going to be especially taken advantage of by these companies because these companies inherently, by their motivations, they want them to stay, use their services, and get that kind of profit. And it's going to discourage them. It's going to take them away from seeking actual help from issues that they have, from seeking help from therapy or from medical professionals that are more qualified to deal with these kinds of problems. And we believe that this will actually encourage people to use AI chatbots as a crutch, as just because they're agreeable, just because they will be nice according to opening government's characteristics, because companies, yes, they do want to protect their image and look like they're helping people. Because of this, they're not actually going to seek the help they need. And so just some points about how partner's case clashes with opening governments. Honestly, like the points from like TPM about like how like the user experience will like improve, get better and stuff. I don't think that like that mitigates enough like the fact that like AI will never truly replace human interactions, and the fact that it will use like practice your social skills without fear of consequences. We don't see why people will be incentivized to seek actual human connections after that. So I'm proud to oppose.
All right, fantastic. I will now call upon the member of government to begin the background of this debate.
Can you guys hear me? Actually, it's probably a bit too loud. You guys can hear me, right? Yeah. Audible? Great. Thank you to my friends, my parents, all that stuff. I will say that I bottomed out this tournament like last year, so hopefully it changes this time. Guys, please give me first. All right. Actually, this point's visible, I think. It's not even one of me here. All right. It's rather ironic how OO comes up and tells us how AI will like replace humans completely, how this is so bad. But not here. If AI will replace everything, if they just totally replace human connection, won't it have to be good? Won't people have to buy into it because it's so close to humans? But they can't tell the difference? We think it's something unrealistic for come up here and say AI sucks. But if they say that people will use AI, it has to be good, right? People have to consume the AI and buy into it, using it personally. We think that if it's gonna be a yes man or inauthentic human like they say, nobody's going to use it. Nobody wants a yes man. Nobody wants an inauthentic human being to go and yap to every single day, right? Not even debaters. Why? We don't see how the untouchable organization is going to make this debate work at all. We think they're just following us now. With this being said, we'll deal a few things. Number one, how this helps number one, how this sort of stuff in the status quo is already quite bad. How talking on Discord is not accurate to keep real human interaction. And number two, how this helps the emotional catharsis. All right. Number one then. Okay, people are kind of lonely in the status quo. There's been a pandemic where you didn't get to talk to real humans, you didn't get to see real human faces online, things like this, right? Secondly, though, we think people in the status quo are kind of glued to screens. You go your phone and type to your friends on TikTok or play video games or whatever the hell, right? We think secondly, though, on this, that the real human experience of going on Discord and chatting with your friends is nowhere near going in real life and debating, which is kind of ironic because we're here debating and interacting. But whatever. We think the majority of people these days spend a lot of time on things like Twitter and Discord, where you get to see chat messages and PFPs that are not very close to human, like real human interaction. You don't get to see real human expressions. You don't get to see a real human like reaction. You don't get the same emotive appeal as they say so themselves. We think in the status quo already, the majority don't actually get to like interact with real humans the way we used to in the past when like screens didn't exist. With this being in mind though, we think in the status quo, the issue is not just like the pandemic has ruined us all, but also that young people in general don't know as well how to interact with people. So they're like relying so hard on the usage of Discord and like Twitter and things like this to like replace real life communication. Right? We think that in the status quo, these people who are glued to Discord don't get the chance to practice social nuance, to practice sarcasm, to practice things that appear in the status quo, like seeing facial expressions, for example, and not just like a PFP of a cat. We think that these sorts of things enable people to go and like experience the real human connection, but the teens these days don't get to experience this because you just like type to your friend on TikTok and you're like, wow, so cool, and that's about all you get in your daily life. With this in mind, we think this AI not just like helps burnout, we think this AI actively helps, number one, socialization, but number two, emotive catharsis and how you're able to relieve your stress and your problems through this AI. This is twofold. Number one, how normalizing and allowing people to express themselves and like vent to AI is going to be so helpful. But number two, how this in general helps people like vent and like socialize and practice real human AI that's going to be pretty damn close to the real thing anyway, so we couldn't say. Alright? Then we think that in the like by increasing the use of this AI, we're able to destigmatize like finding help for your emotions and like venting to somebody that you need. Right? We think through the use of AI that is able to listen to you and like offer a near human experience of I feel so terrible for you. We think this is able to help you in a lot of ways that Odie doesn't touch about. Note here though, that this is currently kind of stigmatized in the status quo. It's bad for men to like open up to their partners. It's like lots of people in the status quo kind of bottle things in, and we think this is very bad because it like restricts emotional growth and things like this. Why does this change in this motion? Now we have free 24/7 access to to your best friend who can help you vent about just about anything, who can help you through all your problems, who can like help you solve your emotional issues that in a way that just wasn't possible previously. We think this is very good in a lot of ways. Not only does it help you like resolve disputes with your friend, it helps you like preserve relationships, it helps you like talk through people when your friends aren't available to help you vent. We also think though that just generally helps people socialize and like generally helps people like get feel more emotionally secure and more emotionally like connected, things like this. No thank you. Right? Note here though, if they say that socialization is so easy in the status quo, then it's unclear on their side, like why we're gonna buy into this in the first place. Again, we see this like mass contradiction within their case. Given so sure that AI is so good in the status that humans in the status quo are so good at doing everything in general, then why would this AI need to exist in the first place? We think this AI is going to exist because like humans are lacking in some tangible sense. On CG though, we give you this reason. We give you the explicit reason why we need AI. Because we need AI to help fill the emotional gap that we simply don't get on Twitter or Discord these days. We think that with AI, we're able to get this consistent companion that's always here to listen to your worries and help you like vent about things when nobody else is able to like help you through this. This is probably much bigger and like more important than like reducing burnout, whatever the hell they want to talk about. At the end of the day, we simply get the most important impact in this debate, and we tell you very explicitly, and for the reason, this is clearly a CG battle.
There's a message in the chat that, go, it's fine, go. Yeah. You guys need to leave, you can leave between speakers. You're not stuck here for the whole round. Just don't leave during someone's speech. Yeah. Bye, have a good flight.
See ya, dude.
Where are you flying from?
Alberta.
Damn, that's crazy. Damn. All right, fantastic. I will now call upon the member of opposition to begin the case for the closing opposition. Use the podium. Okay. But can you like try to Will's not? Can you drag the mic a little? Like the mic is tiltable. Like yeah, even that. Like the best. Okay, it's fine. If it won't go, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, am I audible to everyone? I'll just speak at this one. Okay, cool. Michelle, should I pronounce verbal POIs, please? And actually, okay, so I'll thank you. Thank you to my friends, everyone here, to Sophia, to Catherine, to everyone who came from WASP, to Anne and Ellie, and Nicole, and everyone there. Thank you, Tanya and Alissa, and like any other friend that I might have here. Thank you for Terrence for carrying me some rounds. Yeah, thank you for my parents for like paying for all this. And yeah. Okay. The speech will start on Monday. When CG comes up and tells us that no one wants a yes man, we think that this is specifically untrue because presumably, like OG frames to us that people we're treating this AI interaction are probably socially vulnerable and they don't have a good group of people around them to express their true self. And so this means that people are looking for affirmation when seeking out this AI, right? Okay, a few things in my speech today, a lot of content. I'll be forwarding 2 extensions. First, on how this is stealing consumer info, how this is going to be substantially worse than what we already see in the status quo with social media. And then secondly, on how this limits personal growth in a way that's much more substantial than what our opening is able to claim. Okay, now for, with integrated reputation term. Okay, first for stealing consumer information, right? I want to frame that these AI are going to be much like part of the largest corporation that's going to have profit incentive to collect this data, right? Now, why is this worse than other social media's information collection that we already have? We think that it's more likely that people are unaware of this thing because of how new AI is and how it's probably going to be unexposed in the company. But even if we can see that that's not true and people are aware of this, we think that it's likely that the vulnerable state that people are in when they like look towards AI are going to make them unable to actually consent. So when I tell you in my intro, the people who are like seeking out this AI don't have the are very socially vulnerable, and they seek out this AI to like affirm them. We think that like, this affirmation and this like social like kind of justification to themselves is much more important and kind of overrides their ability to consent to this, right? We think that this is also because there's less regulation on AI in status quo just because of how new it is, and also how it's easier for this AI in specific to unconsensually coerce people by asking them personal information and putting that behind like a mask of like conversing as friends or as human interaction, right? We think that this is obviously principally unjustified because you're coercing these people to give out personal and like presumably very vulnerable information about themselves to these other corporations, which they can alternatively sell and then advertise to you and such.
If this is such a massive issue in your world, wouldn't there be legislation to help solve this issue and avoid lawsuits in the future?
Yeah, but I'm saying AI is so new that this legislation in the first place is just like hard to enforce. And when AI is so new in specific, that it's harder to enforce already, right? Okay. Now, we think that like these impacts only further exacerbate these issues, right? We think that this further exacerbates when this AI is able to like continuously affirm and like able to have you addicted to their content. This only exacerbates any impact that our opening brings to you. Now, on my second extension on how this limits personal growth, right? First, I want to frame that these personalized bots are likely to agree with anything you say. I push against opening government's claim on how like companies are likely to still have regulations on what these bots are able to agree with because they're scared of backlash. Because I think that even if they can restrict some things, the company is unlikely to restrict like any unethical thing that can snowball into any larger like racist or whatever claim, because this closes a very large demographic for that company. Right? So when this company like blocks off any like gateway claim into like racism, like any like they're stealing our jobs, which is like not openly as racist, we think that these companies are unlikely to block that type of thing because it like stops a large demographic of people spending money on them, right? Now we think what this creates is echo chambers because people using this AI are stuck in. We agree with our opening and that government doesn't prove sufficiently on why the people using these AIs in such vulnerable social situations are likely to reach out and go back into society after they have found themselves so comfortable and so affirmed by this AI themselves, right? We think that what these echo chambers enforce is that this enforces exactly what these people are already believing in, which disrupts any sort of mental like change, which disrupts any sort of like, mental improvement to like themselves as a person, and so they're unable to actually like reach out to people and improve themselves socially by like seeing like a therapist or something, right? We think that like in this example, there's a social stigma around therapists, and it's likely that if you were to express this stigma, or if you were to express this like this want into like a specific thing, the AI is likely to comply because they're like made to be malleable to you. They're personalized, you can do anything about them, and so they're made to be malleable to be essentially a yes man to you, but just like with more emotions and like with like more accurate responses to the things you say, with better agreements. Right? What we think we've proven to you today is how these impacts effectively stunt like any sort of personal growth that these people have, and how this coerces and uniquely coerces out information of vulnerable people. And for those reasons, I'm so proud of these coerces.
All right, fantastic. I'll now call upon the government whip to close off the government bench of this debate.
And basically every skill different I had. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, Terrence. Thank you, the girls that I just met. And thank you, everybody at the back. Okay, I'm so done. Okay, I'll start on my first word and I'll take girls class. Panel, OG debates with OO on why chatbots companion is good or bad. OO at least has like a framing in terms of if there's an increase or not. And then last but not least, we have our closing opposition, which brings us this principle of like coercion, which I don't think has any actual implications to today's debate. Okay, then what I'll be doing for each day is I'm going to be doing a team-by-team analysis. First of all, I'm going on to OO and then targeting a little bit of CO, and last but not least, how we basically weigh over our entire opening government by talking about the mechanisms that are unique to my partner. Okay, let's begin with OO. So OO tells us that AIs replace humans, but they also tell us that like they can't replace humans. I think that this is a strong contradiction right here. They tell us that the impacts are that there is less empathy and less human activity. I think that I want to provide a correct characterization of this, because I think our opening already has a reputation towards this. I think the characterization then, implicit in my partner's case, is that people who want human connections will still get human connections. And it's fueled even more when you actually get that type of practice from like chatbots, because we believe that there is still a line of distinction between human connection and chatbots. We think that the world isn't black and white as the opening debates is as. We think that human connection is a necessity on its own, and will probably still happen. It's just that currently there was a pandemic going on, right? There is a market, there is a need, because there is social media, there's the internet, there's the loss of third spaces, there's a wholesome culture that beats everything out. That's why there isn't as much communication that we actually have, that we actually need. So we think that what actually the implication of what I just said is the level of communication will probably be exactly the same, or actually even more on our side. The change is resolving and finding a solution for people who are during times of hardship, people who suffer from not knowing how to communicate. I think that's unique to my partner. Okay, and they tell us about the question of effectiveness of chatbots. I actually don't think that this thing even stands at the end of today's debate anymore, because we don't ever know what humans actually want. It's just that we know that there is going to be a personalized experience by these companion boxes to these people. So we think that this isn't even debatable. And about mental health, I think that, like, first of all, backlash. Number two, isn't it much more easier for companies to create these chat boxes to just send these people who have like emotional troubles to therapy? It is much more like the risk is not as worth of like the gain that they get, which is like maybe people focusing them on them a little bit more. I don't know. Okay, now let's talk about CO. CO tells us about coercion. It tells the principle of privacy and like basically asking about personal information. I think that, well, number one, I have two responses. So number one is that the people who bought this are the people, like they decided it, like they consented basically to the idea of them communicating with the bot, the companion. But number two, isn't it very likely that like the increase will mean that there will be no law? I think my partner tells you this in his POI. But second of all, I want to flip this argument on their side. When there isn't an increase of like the use of companion bots, boxes, isn't it very likely that there's going to be even more coercion, there's going to be even more unlawful action? I think that's much more vulnerable to your side, because the debate is the increase. It's not like the entire existence of like companion boxes or not. Okay, last but not least, tell us about echo chambers. So what they tell us through this is they're trying to tell us that basically people are not going to be rejoining society because like there's echo chambers. I think the easy response to this, and what I'm probably going to say, is that this is symmetrical because people are also in echo chambers inside status quo, and it's in social media, right? And I think that there's such a small population of people who are probably going to act upon their like extremism in like echo chambers. I think that in this case, then we tell you that those are not our target population. We think that our target population are the vulnerable group, which are the people who are actually suffering from like not knowing how to do this.
We believe that like on the other side of AI, it's like so much more like bad because like companies are incentivized to make their products more agreeable and like even research access and like just like say yes to these things.
I agree with that. I actually totally agree with that. I think that that is for the good purpose because if somebody wants their chatbots to be like agreeable and to be like a good BFF, like somebody who is supportive, right? That's probably what's gonna happen. If somebody wants their chatbots to be somebody who is like defensive, I don't know, of somebody else or like providing another opinion, I think that these are things that like these chatbots can determine. The difference then, why this is good, I think, is mainly because the target population that we're trying to help are the vulnerable groups of people who need this type of support, right? Or else, I think that this motion just doesn't really stand in truth. Okay, now let's talk about OG. So OG tells us about building these stress in hard times. He gives the characterization that people, like the company wants reputation and don't want backlash, and that bots will be benevolent. I think that they also tell us that like the characterization that AIs are effective. I think that what they miss is like why the increase is such an important part of their case. What they because technically people can still buy chatbots on both cases. What is important though, what my partner tells you, is that we normalize in the use of chatbots. Like we stop people from being ostracized. The mechanism here is that basically companionship bots are like kind of like even synonymous of like you're basically lonely. That's why you need a bot, right? That's why you're getting a bot. And we allow people to get boxes because of society, like the norms changing. Number two, because of monetary restrictions, like Econ 101, if there's like much more demand for things, there's gonna be more competition. And that means that the prices are gonna lower. So we think that at the end of the debate, what we do for you is that we prove the efficiency of boxes because we actually tell you like, oh, well, proving us right and the motion increases in the first place. Number two, we'll tell you that we solve the emotional gap. And number three, we tell you why the increase is so important because you actually achieve like change through this increase.
All right, last but not least, I would call upon the opposition whip to close off this debate.
Alright, I think I'm just gonna not use it. Alright, if everyone's okay, I'll also be recording the speech on my phone. Alright, time to get to my first bit. Four things in this speech. 1, why is Michelle's extension the most important contribution in this round? 2, why is closing government out of this debate? And then 2 questions. 1, on individuals, and 2, on AI development. 1, what is our extension? Our extension was twofold. The first being that AI is a coercive and addictive factor, and there's less regulations, and it's easier to ask for personal information. In a POI, CG says regulation will exist, but this is a logical concession that in terms of the short-term harm will accrue. But 2, it's unclear as to just how strong their regulations are in the first place. Insofar as many social media companies like Meta and TikTok are being sued, it probably isn't like efficient. The second response they have is that this is only a principle. Well, obviously it's not. Getting coerced is bad. Losing your privacy is bad. And and they in response they say it's not coerced because individuals buy it. Presumably based on OG's own framing, they're vulnerable actors, and that's the reason why they buy it. So they didn't actually consent into the AI, and they can't consent out either. The second thing they say that is to try and flip this analysis. Insofar as they say more people here means it's more important. We suggest, on the contrary, it's a time difference. It's the fact that the artificial intelligence is so new, no matter what, obviously incentives for regulation exist on our side of the house. The second claim we gave was on echo chambers. It was the fact that AI was likely to be made in a way in which it was self-affirming. CG says it's symmetric, obviously it's not. Echo chambers exist from the same beliefs of self-affirmation. And the difference is that no matter how similar individuals are on their side of the house, in their comparatives on things like social media, there are always differences in the beliefs influenced by external factors. So it's your family, the amount of money you have in your bank account, your experiences. Those are tangible differences in the ways in which self-affirmation exists on their side of the house. We argue it's not symmetric. We argue it's far worse on their side of the house. On closing government, they have two broad claims here. The first is to say majority of people don't use real communication. Their solution is to impose another mechanism of online communication. Obviously, this point falls. Your second point is to say less stigmatization surrounding health because they'll have 20% help on their side of the house. But the issue here is just this assumes that AI chatbot will actually be a legitimate mechanism of help. And we agree with opening opposition. There are incentives to keep individuals on their platform, which suggests help won't be recommended. But furthermore, we think all advice can be perceived as harmful and unbenevolent, as OG wanted to frame. And that suggests that because it suggests that an individual actually has to change. So when you give someone advice, that means that something is probably not right, and you suggest that they have to change. So even if their claim is true, it's just unclear how their stigmatization mechanism actually works. Like, are people going to vouch and say AI is good? Presumably not, because the very same stigma they wanted to fix still exists. They won't distribute help. 2 questions then. 1 on individuals, and 2 on AI development. On individuals, OG has 2 broad claims here. The first one is to say there's less stress because human interactions are stressful. But CG POIs to OO that the relationship is likely to be one with humans. So that proves that at best it's a wash. Even if it isn't, we argue it's better for individual development and we're willing to bear the burden. The second claim that they say is that individuals are unable to be themselves. We agree with this, but this is actually good. Government creates echo chambers on their side of the house, and we think social etiquette can actually regulate human interaction in positive ways. It means people are actually nicer to individuals. It means they're less racist, and they don't harm individuals in tangible ways with what they say and what they do. 2, we argue there are in fact ways to be yourself in positive extent, things like families and communities of religion and social movements, for example. We argue that you can also be yourself when you're alone, so we think that you can actually have some instances in which you can act without social etiquette. But 3, it's unclear if being your true self and engaging with yourself is even good. And we suggest that some level of scrutiny and skepticism against this is always going to be good, because it means comfort is, and it suggests that comfort is more nuanced on our side of the house, and with people, and it gives feedback through past relationships and experiences, so you actually are able to obtain help on our side of the house when you resort to real relationships. Second question then, in terms of AI development. OG's claim here is to say this AI will be benevolent because it's programmed to be nice to users and to keep them. We agree with OG's analysis here. The way in which this happens is it's going to be self-affirming. It's going to be used with language models, for example, to be self-affirming to affirm the individual. CG says that nobody wants a yes man and they want social interaction. But the very framing that OG gives is that these individuals are vulnerable. They're looking for self-affirmation. They're looking for validation of their experiences, for example, because they don't have a safe space. That's a safe space that they provide them. We think that is going to likely be in a mechanism of self-affirmation. So the conclusion of this speech then is quite simple. Number 1, we think our two extensions are the most important contributions in this draft, because coercion and things like lack of privacy are harmful to all individuals, no matter who you are. 2, we think echo chambers are far worse on their side of the house and also has societal implications in terms of things like racism and sexism and other sorts of harmful narratives. 3, we think closing government is out of this debate because both different perspectives are not standing. And 4, we think that individuals in AI development are far better on our side of the house. Incredibly proud of those.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for an excellent round of debate. So what's going to happen now is we are going to go deliberate in another room. You guys can stay here, but ultimately awards will be happening in the other GA. So after we deliberate, we put the information into the slideshows and we print the certificates, then it will be awards. All right.